Hello and welcome to My Piano Method with me, Michelle Orp. This is my beginner to grade course, lesson 13. So now we're going to learn all about key signatures. Now there is quite a lot of information in this part of the lesson, but most of it is something you don't need to know right now. It's just for you to be aware of in the future because you will come across lots of different keys when playing music. So before I explain to you about key signatures, I just wanted to revisit accidentals on the stave. So we did learn all about this back in lesson 5. I just want to give you a quick recap. So when an accidental is shown on the stave, and when I say accidental, I mean a sharp, a flat, or a natural sign. So here in this bar, there's 3 Fs. Now that first F has been sharpened, we can see the sharp. Once a note has been changed by an accidental, it will apply to that note for the rest of that bar. So because this first F has been sharpened, it means that the other 2 Fs in this bar are sharpened as well. So you would play all 3 as an F sharp. Now, if that first F does not have an accidental on it, then you play that as an F natural on the white note. But because this second F now has a sharp, it means that these last 2 Fs will be played as an F sharp. Now let's move that sharp along to the last F. This now means that the first 2 Fs are played as a natural and this third F is played as a sharp. But that doesn't carry over bars. So if there was another F in the next bar, that F would be played as a natural because the bar line cancels out any accidentals that have shown up in the bar. And lastly, if, say, this second F had been sharpened, that means this third F would have to be played as an F sharp as well. But let's say the composer doesn't actually want you to play that third F as a sharp. He wants you to play it as a natural. Well, because of the rule, he would have to add in a natural sign to let you know that he no longer wants you to play that note as a sharp. He's cancelled it out by putting the natural sign in there. So hopefully, you know, that has refreshed your memory and you've remembered how it works. But if not, please do go back to lesson 5 and just refresh your memory on how the accidentals work when they show up on the stave. So what does this have to do with key signature? Well, back in lesson number 3, we learned about everything that's happening on a stave. We had the treble clef, the bass clef, the time signature, the stave itself, it's called a staff in the USA, the bar lines and the double bar lines. But the one thing that I didn't mention, the one thing I missed out, is the key signature. So a key signature tells us what key the music is written in. And basically this is the same as the scales that you've been learning. So you do already know some keys. Now the key signature will go before the time signature. So you will see the key signature turn up in between the clefs and the time signature. And basically they will show us what sharps and flats are in the piece. So here's a key signature of an F sharp. So it will always be the same on the treble clef as the bass clef. It will never be different. The key signature will be the same for both clefs. So here we have an F sharp in the treble clef and we have an F sharp in the bass clef. So what we have to ask ourselves is what scale have we learned that has an F sharp in it? Well, hopefully you'll remember this. It's the G major scale. So the G major scale is all the white notes except the F sharp, which is a black note. So it's the F sharp on the black note. So when we see a key signature with an F sharp in, we know that this piece of music has been written in the key of G major. So let's take a look at another one. Let's look at this stave. So we're looking at a piece of music. There are no sharps and no flats in the key signature. So what could that mean then? What scale do we know that has no sharps and no flats in it? Well, of course you should know this one. It's the C major scale. It has no sharps, no flats. It's all on the white notes. So if you do not see any sharps or flats in the key signature, you know that the piece of music has been written in a C major key. Now actually all the songs we've learned so far in this course have been written in the key of C major because we haven't learnt key signatures yet. But there's two more that you've learned, which you should know. So let's take a look. This top one here has an F sharp and a C sharp in it. So what key could that be? And the bottom one has a B flat. So ask yourself, what scale have I learned that has a F sharp and a C sharp in it? Well, hopefully you've remembered it's the D major scale. So if you see that key signature with an F sharp and a C sharp in it, you should know that that piece of music has been written in the key of D major. And at the bottom there, the B flat, that's one of the last scales we learned, which is the F major scale. And also remember that every major scale has a relative minor scale which shares the same notes as it. So if we look at our key signature chart, we know that the C major has no sharps or flats. The G major has one sharp, that's an F sharp. The D major has two sharps, the F sharp and the C sharp. And the F major that we've also learned has a B flat in it. And that's actually all we need to know at this stage, are these three keys. But if you were to carry on, there are actually 15 keys in music that you will eventually need to learn. There are 7 sharp keys, 7 flat keys, and of course your C major key that has no sharps or flats. So the G major, 1 sharp, the D major has 2 sharps, the A major has 3 sharps, the E major has 4 sharps, the B major has 5 sharps, the F sharp major has 6 sharps, and the C sharp major has 7 sharps. And if we look over to the flats, we've already learned our F major, which has 1 flat, the B flat. And then you've got B flat major has 2 flats, and so on until you get to the C flat major, which has 7 flats in it. Now you may not have noticed, but some of you clever ones out there might have just asked yourself, well, hang on a minute, how come there's 15 key signatures to learn when there's only 12 notes on the piano? And that's true, there's 7 white notes and 5 black notes. There are 12 notes on the piano. So how can there possibly be 15 key signatures to learn? Well, the reason there is because we have our inharmonic notes. These are notes which can be 2 different things. So let's take a look at the F sharp, for instance. We know that the F sharp can also be a G flat. It's the exact same note, it sounds the same, but for the purposes of music theory, it can be an F sharp or a G flat. So actually there's a key for each, and the composer will choose which he wants to write the song in, an F sharp major or a G flat major. Now you won't actually hear any difference because they are at the exact same scale. The F sharp major scale sounds like this and looks like this. And the G flat major scale looks and sounds like this. So as far as playing it goes, it sounds exactly the same and it uses the exact same notes. The only reason you would pick one over the other is because of advanced music theory reasons that you do not need to know right now. So this is just to give you an idea of how key signatures work, but you don't need to know the ins and outs of that. So just be aware that the F sharp major and the G flat major are 2 different key signatures when it comes to music theory, but actually to play and to listen to, they sound the same. Now this also goes for B major and C flat major. Of course, B and C flat are the same note. Now again, for advanced music theory reasons, the B major has 5 sharps in it and the C flat major has 7 flats in it. But do not worry about that right now. Just be aware that there are 2 separate key signatures. And the same for C sharp and D flat. Now, Again, please don't try and remember any of that because you just don't need to know it now. You only need to know about the, the C major, the G major, D major and F major. So don't worry about all the others. But just for those of you that might be asking the question, you might be saying to yourself, well, hang on a minute, if that's the case for the B and the C flat and the F sharp and the G flat and the C sharp and the D flat, why is that not the same for these three? Because they are enharmonic notes as well. A B flat can also be an A sharp, an E flat can also be a D sharp, and an A flat can also be a G sharp. So why, therefore, do they not have three key signatures for the A sharp, D sharp, and G sharp? Well, the reason they don't is because those three key signatures would use double sharps. Yes, there is such a thing as a double sharp, but you really don't need to know about it. That's very advanced music theory, but because of the double sharp, we would never use the A sharp, D sharp or G sharp key signatures. You just wouldn't. You will always use the B flat, E flat and A flat. So that's where the 15 different key signatures come from. And as you advance through your music career, you will learn all of these key signatures and all of these scales. But for now, you just don't need to worry about it. But if you were to look at all of these key signatures as they look on the stave, it would look like this. So the C major, which you've learned, has no sharps and no flats in it. So the key signature is just clear. You've learnt the G major, that has an F sharp in it. You've learnt the D major, that has an F sharp and a C sharp in it. And you've learnt the F major, which has a B flat. And as you go up the scales, you will learn all the other key signatures as well. So what does this mean and how does it help us when we're learning how to play music and read music? Well, up until now, I've written every single song that you've learned in the key of C major. But there was one song we learned that did have a sharp in it, and that was Fer-Elise back in lesson number 9. Now, I did write the piece in the key of C major, but I added in, so as you will see, there was no sharps or flats in the key signature, but I did add in some sneaky sharps, which is perfectly fine to do. But I'm going to explain to you why usually we wouldn't do that. So this is why. So let's pick a key signature, a difficult one. Let's go for B major because B major has 5 sharps in it. So the B major consists of a B, a C sharp, a D sharp, an E, an F sharp, a G sharp and an A sharp. So if I was to write a melody, just totally make something up, it probably sounds terrible because I've just made this up, haven't listened to it, so don't try and play it. But let's just say I've picked this melody. Because I'm writing this in the key of B major, I would have to add in those 5 sharps and it would look like this. And this is just no good. It's too busy, there's too much going on. As the musician, I can't work it out. It's just no good. And as the composer, it's just a nightmare to write down all those sharps. I don't want to have to keep writing in a sharp for all those 5 notes. This is where the key signature comes into play. Instead of writing out all those sharps like this, all I have to do is pop them in the key signature. This is far more clear. By just having these 5 sharps in the key signature, I have told you as the musician that this is a B major, it's got 5 sharps. Whenever you come across any of those notes on the stave, you have to sharpen them. Which means when you come to play this piece of music, all of these notes will be sharpened. When you're playing in the scale of B major, in the key of B major, in fact, it's just the B and the E that are played on the white notes. All of the others are played sharp. So let's say that we've looked at this piece of music, we've looked at the key signature, it's B major, there's 5 sharps. I know that a C, a D, an F, a G and A all have to be played as a sharp whenever I come across them in the piece. But let's say the composer doesn't want you to play this note as a sharp. It's a C in the treble clef and he doesn't want you to play it as a sharp. He's written the melody and he's decided that note needs to be a natural. Well, because in the key signature, it tells us we have to sharpen any C we come across, he has to tell you not to play this as a sharp. And to do that, of course, he needs to put a natural sign next to it. So now when you're looking at this piece, you know that all of the C's are sharpened except in that first bar because there is a natural sign next to it. So he has naturalised that C sharp. And this works for any key. So let's change it. Let's say I've written this piece in the key of G major. We know that the key of G major has a 1 F sharp in it. So that F sharp goes into the key signature here. We now know that any F we come across in this piece of music has to be sharpened. So all of these Fs will be played as an F sharp. Of course, if we don't want one to be an F sharp, we would have to put a natural sign next to it. And of course, we could sharpen any other note as well. All that a composer has to do is chuck in a sharp or a flat anywhere he chooses. But we're going by the rule of thumb of the key signature to start with. So when we scan the piece, we see the F sharp, we're in the key of G major, any Fs we come across will be sharpened unless told otherwise. And of course we can do the same again for any other key we want. So I could keep the same melody, I could change this to a C major. This piece is now written in the key of C major. There are no sharps, there are no flats. So all of these notes are played on the white note. And if I wanted to sharpen or flatten a note as the composer, then I could. Let's just pick one, this A for instance, in bar 2. Let's say my melody means I want you to play that as a sharp. Well, I just stick a sharp in there. So even though we are playing in the key of C major, there is a sharp in there that I've wanted to put in as the composer. That's totally fine. And of course, remember the rule, because that A has now been changed to a sharp, all 3 of these A's will be sharpened in this bar. And that is how key signatures work. So it's another thing you're going to have to look for when you first get a piece of music to learn. So here is your key signature chart. I've added it as a PDF to this lesson, so do print it out, put it on your wall. You're really not going to come across half of these key signatures, especially not at this level. Most of the stuff you come across is going to be written in C major, especially pop songs, because it's just nice and easy. And of course, you'll start to come across maybe songs written in the key of G or D or F. And as you move up the grades, you will learn more key signatures and more scales. So I haven't added the relative minors to this chart, but you can always write them in should you wish. If you're in a C major key, it could also be an A minor. If you're in a G major key, it could also be an E minor, and so on. All you have to remember to do is count down 3 half steps to find the relative minor. But you don't really need to know that right now. The main thing is to understand what key signatures mean and how they work. So there is quite a lot of information there, and most of that you're not going to use for a very, very long time. I've been playing for nearly 30 years and I still don't play anything in C sharp major, so I really wouldn't worry. It's more of a reference so you can understand why it's all there. But you can print out the PDFs, keep it near to your piano, and this will really help you in understanding the basic keys that you're going to come across in your early days of playing piano. Now I've put some exercises onto your practice plan, so please do work through the exercises as well, because this will really help you.